everyone, welcome back to Messy Vegan Baker. I'm Christina. So I don't know if you guys follow a lot of Disney stuff or like blogs or Facebook or whatever. During this time, since all the parks are closed, Disney decided to release some of their recipes, which is pretty cool. So I've been seeing a lot of them around and kind of want to make some because they sound interesting, but also like maybe not. But I saw recently that they released Jack Jack's cookie, and I remember some of my roommates had it one time. I couldn't because vegan, but they said it was really good, and so I was really curious what made it different. Like, what did Disney put in it to make it different? I mean, to be fair, I think most of their food is delicious, but it's special because you eat it in the parks. But I wanted to see what it actually tasted like, and I can now because I have the recipe. Woohoo! In order to kind of fairly judge it, I guess, I am going to make Jack Jack's cookie. And then I'm also going to make my grandma's cookie recipe because it's really good. And I figured why not use that as the base, or what's it called in science? The constant or something? I don't remember. I figured why not do that because I think it'll be really fun to see how different Disney's food is. Honestly, the recipe is pretty simple. It's a basic chocolate chip cookie recipe. The only thing, well, how it differs from my grandma's recipe is you brown the butter first and then you let it cool, which I found really interesting because I know that there's a vegan cookie recipe from Tasty or Goodful, I don't know, one of those two. I think that's the name of it. But from one of those, and they like put walnuts in there and they make it all fancy, and I don't really know if that makes a difference. So we're gonna see how that changes the flavor, and I'm really excited. We're gonna use Country Crock's plant-based butter because that's what I have at the moment. That's not in the freezer. And then I have Trader Joe's chocolate. Shocker, I forgot. So with my grandma's cookies, I'm gonna make half of the batch like Jack Jack size cookies, which if I remember correctly, they're pretty big, which they should be because they charge a lot for those, but hashtag Disney. So I'm gonna do half the dough that size, and then the other half, I'm gonna make them into tiny little cookies, and I'm going to bake them so they're nice and crispy, and then I can eat them in cereal like Cookie Crisp. I'm a genius, I know. I actually saw it somewhere online, but I figured why not? That's super fun. I chopped up some dark chocolate, some Trader Joe's Belgium dark chocolate, and that's gonna go in those cookies, so that way I hopefully have enough small pieces of chocolate so the small cookies work. And then we're just gonna use the regular Trader Joe's semi-sweet chocolate chips because honestly, those are my favorite because I think they taste the best and they're the cheapest. Without further ado, let's get baking. Now, I'm gonna start by browning the butter for Jack Jack's, and then while it's cooling, I'm gonna make my grandma's cookies because hashtag efficiency. Now we're gonna go over to the stove. So that took a good 10 minutes, I think, maybe a little more, but the butter is nice and brown. So I should have looked it up, but I thought I knew how to brown butter well enough. Yeah, you can just put it on medium heat and leave it and stir it every so often. I was constantly stirring it, so just a note. But yeah, it'll turn like a golden color, and then you want more of a dark brown. So finally got that. So while that is cooling, I'm gonna do my grandma's chocolate chip cookies. So I have the 1 stick of butter in here, or that's 1 cup of butter. We're off to a great start. Okay, so I realized that this calls for 1 cup of butter as well. 2 sticks of butter, but I only have 1. So I'm gonna thaw this out. While that's doing that, we're going to also add 1 cup of brown sugar and a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. You add more brown sugar if you like the chewier kind. If you want more of a crunchy one, you add more granulated sugar. I just need 1/2 cup of this. So as you probably know by now, we cream these together or emulsify them until they are light and fluffy. Oh, it would help if I put this all the way up too. Beautiful. We're gonna add 2 flaxseed eggs, which look like they're pretty nice and gelatinized. That is nicely mixed in there. So now we are going to add 2.5 cups of flour. We're supposed to add these in a separate bowl, but I forgot, and honestly, it's not that big of a deal. So then we're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda, a half a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this a little bit in here and then I'll take it out, mix it by hand, and then add in the chocolate chips. Oh, I forgot the salt. Nope, there's no salt or vanilla in here, but I am gonna add a splash. So it is pretty well mixed. I'll finish mixing it when I add in the chocolate chips. That's actually a trick that I learned from Christina Tosi because that's how she makes all of her cookies. And if you don't know who she is, go look her up. She's awesome. If you're just using chocolate chips, totally fine. That's what the recipe originally calls for. But use a whole package, which I personally love. So I just chopped up a half of a bar of the chocolate, and I'd say that's a good chunk of chocolate. So it is well mixed, I'd say. This would be great as a cookie dough alone. So I'm gonna put this into a bowl, put it in freezer for a little bit. You're reducing the chance for the butter to like melt out and give you that lacy type of cookie because you don't want that with chocolate chips. So stick it in the fridge or the freezer. You can stick it in the freezer for like 15 minutes if you're running low on time. I'm just impatient, so yeah, I think I'm gonna stick this in the freezer so I can bake them sooner. So it's still a little runny, but honestly, I'm too impatient to wait, so we're just gonna go ahead and mix it. So I have the sugars in here, the brown and the white. There's a lot more brown in this one too. They should both be really similar cookies because there's just a few differences in the ingredients. So as you all know, we're gonna cream this until it's nice and mixed. All right, now we're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla and 1 flaxseed egg and mix it. That looks gorgeous. So now we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt, and then we have a teaspoon of baking soda. We're gonna mix that a little bit. And we need 2 1/4 cups of flour. We're gonna mix that until it's just mixed, and then we're gonna add in the chocolate chips. So it's mixed well enough. It's still a very dry and crumbly cookie. This dough is super dry. So I'm gonna actually add just like a tablespoon of water. So you don't want to overmix it as I'm basically overmixing it. So these stick together when you press them. So I guess it's good. All right, I am going to stick this in the freezer. And while I do that, I'm going to bake the other cookies at 350 for about 10 minutes. I'll do 5 minutes flip and then another 5. And I will, yeah. And then these are also the same, it's 350, and then they say 7 to 10 minutes. I will see you after everything is baked. Okay, so everything is baked. So I ended up having to add more water. I think I added like 2 tablespoons of water to the Jack Jack's cookie just because it was so dry. And I actually have 3 of the 3 cookies that did not get extra water, and they turned out really well. They actually are a lot fluffier than the other ones. So I guess I didn't have to add any water. However, it was a pain in the butt to deal with trying to like scoop it and make it into a ball. They still turned out really well, so I'm not mad. I will say I'm very impressed / surprised that these ones actually rose a lot more, but they have less rising agents. They don't have the baking powder, so I just find that really surprising. Overall, they both turned out really well. However, Jack Jack's cookie smells like fried oil to me, and I think it's because there's a lot of oil in the butter. So I might try it again with Earth Balance because they have a better, they're just more like butter, you know? So overall, they did turn out really well. I wouldn't recommend using the country plant if you're gonna brown it. I'm gonna taste them. I mean, it's good. I am relieved that you can't really taste like the weird smell, I guess, if that makes sense. Does it like blow me out of the water amazing? No, but I mean, they taste really good. I definitely recommend making them, especially if you have time. Like, why not? This one I already kind of tasted, but I'll taste again. Yeah, I see why people brown the butter. I guess with the taste test overall, you can use whatever kind of butter. If you use one that's more of a vegetable oil, I'm sure Earth Balance probably does the same thing. I'm just hoping maybe it doesn't. It smells like you're frying stuff, which I don't really appreciate that smell, but it doesn't taste like that. Because I guess when you fry things, it tastes good. That just doesn't smell good. Whatever, it's fine. So yes, I do understand why they actually brown the butter because it does give it a richer flavor. So if you have time to do that to make your cookies, I would recommend it. I made 2 big cookies from each of them because that's it's kind of how big it is from what I remember. Just thought it would be fun to make the big cookies. Overall, I'd say it was a huge success. Both cookies are delicious. I'll have both of the recipes down below in my blog, so go check it out. If you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and that like button if you want to see me baking more exciting things. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys a lot. Leave a comment down below of if you've tried this recipe or if you've browned the butter with the cookies and if you think that it made it taste better. I hope you learned something and or were entertained, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.